Thank you for joining me today. This is going to be a grounding, slow flow practice that will include some mudras, and it's going to be very helpful if you're feeling fearful. And I would like to dedicate this practice to all of those who have lost from Hurricane Helene, including my dear sister Patrice, dear yoga friends, and all of the rescue workers and personnel that are there already starting to clear and rebuild. And we're going to be working with some mudras, recognizing that in the yogic philosophy, one of the things that really helps me a lot is knowing that the cycles always go on, the cycles of birth and death in small ways, ways that we lose something and then something else comes in. I think of when I lost my own yoga studio during the pandemic and then something else comes in, but holding that hope for others. So I'd ask you to place your left hand on your heart and your right hand on top of your left hand. And if Hurricane Helene is not something that is in your mind or in your heart, perhaps you want to hold this space for yourself, this fearlessness, that just hold this practice in your own body. Or there may be another person, another population that you want to offer this practice to. And I'd ask you to do that, to just think of sending this practice to that person, persons, or just retaining it for your own well-being. And as you do so, breathe into your heart space. Notice if there's any movement under your hands. Sensing what's there today. And we'll continue to keep the left hand on the heart. And we're going to bring just the right hand up. You can drop your shoulder down, bring your right hand forward, palm facing. Abhaya mudra is the mudra of fearlessness. That's one you see many of the Buddha statues holding. And your left hand can be anywhere. You're welcome to drop it down to your lap. I like to think of a fearless heart. Think of holding off any fear. Fear in your heart, it could be down in your belly. And feel the cycles of your breath. Recognize the life, the vitality that is in every breath in. Allow yourself to be present in that vitalizing energy, that life energy. Maybe even notice the space at the top when you feel full and complete. Right at the top of the inhale, and just pause in that space. And then also notice the breath out, the space of purging, of emptying, space where we let go of any attachments. We let go of the breath itself physically. But there's an emptiness. See if you can find the bottom of that space of emptiness. Just taking a few more breaths. Abhaya mudra. Perhaps even thinking of a time in your life when you felt fearless. And if you need that now, go back to that memory. What makes you feel fearless? I often think it has more to do for me than not protecting myself, but sometimes protecting others in the little ways that we do. And as you breathe in and out, put those cycles together. That sense of vitalizing, creating life. Breathing out, and it's the destruction, the end of the breath. Two more rounds of breath for yourself, for others. And then relax your hands down. Just take your hands, palms down to the knees. And if you want, you can think of your lower hinge at your hips. So you might even touch your hips so you know where that is. And if cross-legged position does not work for you, you can take your legs out long. But find your ears over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips. And start to feel your sits bones. So I call them the rocking horses. And just gently rock forward and back on your sits bones. And if you want to time it to your breath, you can rock forward towards the front of the sit bones on your inhalation and back on your exhalation. Just a nice, easy movement. And we're going to add a little bit of a mudra to this one. And this is Kali mudra. And Kali is, she's also the destroyer, but she helps us to get rid of any unwanted emotions. So we take the fingers and make them into a nice basket, and then take the left thumb on top of the right and extend just the index fingers. I call it the Charlie's Angels mudra, if any of you remember that show. So we've got the Charlie's Angels mudra. And now as you're rocking forward and back, as you rock forward on the inhalation, we're creating a little bit of a back bend. You may want to reach your arms slightly forward. And as you breathe out and rock to the back of the sit bones, you can bend your elbows, bring your shoulders forward. So just letting your arms go along for the ride. You can start to go up a little bit higher. Inhale, rock forward. You can take your gaze up as well. Exhale, rock back. And I'm pulling my hands right into the center of my solar plexus, the space of strength, the Manipura chakra. So this can be very soft physically, more energetic if you'd like. Remember, if the leg position is not working for you, you can take any leg position that works for you. Just rocking back and forth. And that protection, Kali is the goddess of protection. Happens to be the time that we celebrate her right now. And take the next one up and pause just for a moment. Feel the expansion through the front body. Not vulnerable, but strong and long. Breathe out. Release. Let go of the mudra as well. We're going to change our leg position. So if you were in another position or you were cross-legged with me, I'm going to invite you to take your feet to the ground, legs as wide apart as it feels good for you. First, just take your hands to your shins. And we were going forward and back. Now I want you to feel your sits bones again. And you're going to go side to side. Roll into your right sits bone and then your left sits bone. So we're just landing. We want to feel what's touching the earth. And you can also feel your feet. The sense of grounding comes from the earth element. So feeling your feet and your sits bones on the ground and just rocking side to side. I like to inhale onto one sits bone. Exhale, ground into both. I'm just taking a few more of the side to side. And then see if you want to add that circle. So you might come forward and then roll into one clockwise first, then to the back, towards the back of your sits bones, towards your tailbone, coming forward. And just making circles again. If it feels better, move from your hip crease down here as opposed to your waist. That will keep your lumbar spine in a more neutral position. But you might find you want to come further and further forward or bend from the waist as well. Find the movement from your pelvis, feel the sits bones, and then again, we have the option to add the Kali mudra in. So you're going to bring all your fingers together, cross left thumb on top of the right, extend the index fingers, Charlie's Angels style, and just make some forward. It tends to be that as you come forward, you're going to breathe out. Breathe in, pull back. Just make some nice circles like you're stirring. I like to think that I'm stirring my fear-based emotions away. Coming forward, baby, as you breathe out. And you may find that instead of just coming forward, you want to take the arms up. more of an extension, more expression of some ways vulnerability for the front of the body, but it might feel good to open and create space around the heart, the front of the heart. If you feel like you want to switch directions, you can do that too. And you may keep a nice bend in the elbows so you can think of the physical movement. But if you're tired, you've been doing a lot, think more of the energy. You're stirring things up, creating heat in the body just a little to get things moving. That's the key. We want things to move, especially when we're in a place where we're not happy, right? That's when we want the change. We want the transition. So create that transition, create the movement. Last one. Coming forward, releasing mudra. We're going to take both feet over to the left side. So you can just stack your legs together like you're sitting in a skirt very politely. Or if it feels better, you can take the right heel up to the left knee. I'm in a stack for today. And see if you can find a space where your shoulders are over your hips. Take a moment. And this time we're going to be doing a little rotation. So take your right hand to the ground and feel your probably more weight in your right sits bone. Begin to inhale into the left side body. You can even inhale into your left lung and reach the left hand to the right and breathe out and come back down. And if the arm doesn't want to extend, you could just keep your hand at your shoulder. Make a lateral bend with the spine. Exhale, come back up. So it's movement from the torso here. Hand could even be here. But there's that opportunity at the top of the inhalation, that top of the vitalizing to reach. And as you breathe out, take it back down. I like to think I'm taking it down and throwing anything to the earth that I don't need. I reach up for what I want. Let the earth have whatever I don't want. Inhale, reach up, fill that left lung. Exhale back down. Take one more up. You can pause here, breathe into your left side, using your right arm for support. Exhale, release. So now that we've created some space and length through your left side, we'll create a rotation. So you can still direct your breath into your left lung. Think of creating that ease of movement by breathing in. And now as you breathe into the left side, rotate to the right. You might find your right hand going behind you and your left hand to your knee. And then exhale, release the rotation. Just come back. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, release. And notice again how it's a torso movement. You can keep your hands on the ground, more grounding. The more we touch the ground, the more grounding it is, or coming back into the Kali Mudra. Plug your arm bones in, and you might inhale. Turn and reach just a little bit with your arms. I like to exhale, come back. Let the hands come all the way into the heart center. Inhale, reach out, rotate, breathe into that left lung. Exhale. Hands can come into your heart or down here, your space of strength in the Manipura. Maybe just see where they naturally land. A lot of this is trusting your intuition. And take one more. And this time when they're there, we're going to drop our hands down to the ground. We're going to take a moment just to let ourselves come all the way down. You see, I have this lovely sheepskin, so I'm nice and padded, but you could place a pillow or something underneath you. We'll start by keeping the rotation, just letting the arms come down to the ground, forearms if that is available, arm extension if that works for you. Breathing into the left side of the body. Let your head find the floor. If it's not finding the floor, you can also stack your fists together. Put your head on a bolster. But laying into the ground. I always appreciate twists as recognizing that it is movement. It's movement within the body. The spiral patterns that we're built out of and are all around us in nature. And truly, we're always spiraling ourselves through one thing and another, through one emotion, the next emotion, but always coming back to our center of our spiral. Just an option for a slight change. You can stay here in the spiral, or you can slide your right arm underneath you with the palm facing up. Take your left arm overhead and just let your right ear come down. Breathe fully into your left side. Your left side is your side of your gorgeous heart, strong, spacious. If you are on both forearms, work your way down. We're going to come down onto our back side. So you can just kind of slide like you're rolling over in bed. See how good this feels to let yourself really ground now. Knees bent with feet on the ground. Back and spine supported by the earth. And we're going to find some stabilizing, some strength. So take the backs of the hands into the ground. And begin to think of pushing your feet into the ground. And as you inhale, fill the front body, fill the belly, the ribs, the chest, and the lungs. And as you fill, also push the feet down and push the shoulder blades and the arms slightly into the ground. And breathe out, just release. So I'm not lifting. Eventually we'll go into a bridge-like motion, but I'm just thinking I'm stabilizing from everything touching the ground, pressing my feet, the arms, the shoulder blades into the ground, and exhaling, releasing. And you might just feel this little sense of the heart moving upward, expanding as you breathe in. Breathe out, release the back of the heart back down into the ground. And then if it feels like you want a little bit more, instead of just lifting the heart up, pushing the arms and feet into the ground, push the arms and the feet in the ground on the inhalation and begin to lift the pelvis just a little bit. And breathe out. Come back down, let the pelvis land too. So as you breathe in, lift your sacred sacrum and the back of the heart if you'd like. Hug your thighs together, push into the feet. Breathe out. Come down. Breathing in, pushing down and lifting. Breathing out, coming down. And notice how much force you're using, pushing into your feet and your arms and shoulders. And now see if you can use more of the back line of your body. So pushing into your feet, feel your gluteal muscles and your hamstrings. Let your arms be a little bit softer. Think of your arms as the extension of your heart. And if you'd like to add movement for the arms in this, we go back to the Kali Mudra. Left thumb on top of right. Extend your fingers. Extend your index fingers, wrap the rest. And as you're breathing in, push into your feet. You can go straight up, lifting, or you can go overhead. Find a sweet dog. And exhale, come down. Push into the feet. Inhale, rise up. So building just a little bit of fire, a little bit of heat in the body. You can lift from your navel center. Creating our own force for protection, our own strength, willpower. But remember, if the arms don't want to do this, they can also just stop here, or they can be at your sides if you want more grounding. Last one. Come down, release, relax. Either legs can go long to relax, let knees fall together. Just pause and feel. I'd even place one hand on your belly, the other on your heart. Feel your heart space. Is there more warmth in your body? Heat is a sign of mobility, of moving things, changing things. And sometimes it's very unfortunate when our external environment changes. We don't want it to. But we have to allow our internal environment to keep up by releasing, renewing, purging. We'll get ready to come up seated again. So you can roll to one side first, or you can rock up. See how you want to come up. And now we'll take both of the legs to the right side. And you can take the heel, the left heel to the right knee, or just stack the legs. See which one's more comfortable for you. Pausing there just to sit for a moment. Let the ears fall over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips. And then the left hand can come down to the ground to provide a little bit more stability. We'll be moving from the spine with that option to extend your arms. So you might think, though, breathe into your right lung. Let the arm grow out of that movement. Exhale. Come back down. Maybe even send it all into the ground. So much of what we experience is what we say to ourselves. So I have the ability to breathe in and feel, breathe out and purge, to rid. The arm doesn't want to extend. Hand could just stay at your shoulder. More of a movement of the spine, a lateral bend. Your head may want to move, and that's good. Think of your head having all kinds of options. Your eyes can look in different directions, directing you in different ways. If you want to take a final one and hold for a few breaths, that's there for you. Do you want to look down? Do you want to look up? Which direction are you headed? And then taking the hand back down, pausing for a moment, feel how long your right side is. And we'll go into rotation. So you might even place your hand there, breathe into your right lung. Feel this as a movement from the spine and the torso. And breathe out and come back. So you can keep, I like to think of keeping my nose right over the center of my collarbone. So I'm not turning my head so much. I'm letting my torso turn my head. The head might look over the left shoulder a little bit, but nothing straining. Or the other way is to think of letting your heart lead. Let it take you into the spiral. You can keep yourself just as you are, or you can add the mudra on. Kali mudra comes in, and you can reach forward, plug your arms in as you rotate. Take your arms around too. Hold different sensation on this side for me. Exhale back. Breathe into your right lung. Maybe coming back to the heart or to your solar plexus. Where do you find your strength? Solar plexus is about, we sometimes say ego, but I don't say that in a negative word. It's knowing who you are, having self-confidence. And the heart is that space that's always unchanged. Anahata means unhurt or unstruck. In the space of unconditional love. Take one more rotation, and then I invite you to take your hands down to the ground. You might just stay here in a partial twist. You can begin to work your way down to forearms. It feels good, come even lower. So sometimes the bolster goes under my head, or like I said, you can stack your fists and put your head on your arms, or reach for Milo. Letting as much of your body come down as you can, your head, your arms. And then the option is there to change this just slightly. Take your left arm and thread it through. Come onto your left cheek if that feels good. And reaching the right arm overhead. This full position of spaciousness in your right side. And finding that balance, that non-dualism of right side spacious, left side compressed and grounding. And your heart is just riding in the middle of those two complementary opposites. The grounded side might feel more stable, supported on the left. The right side may be spacious, but there's also a vulnerability of opening up your rib cage, the liver. And I get a dog at each end today, so it's a beautiful thing. Take your time, draw your arm in. We're going to finish by coming back onto our back. And once you get down there, check to see your head is comfortable. I'm going to make sure I've got some soft, sheepy fur underneath mine. Keep your knees bent, but widen them just a little bit more so you can see they're wider than your hips if that feels okay for you. And we're just going to place both hands on the heart again, left hand and right hand. Feel yourself from the space of the heart. Think of the back of the heart. Every time you breathe out, the back of the heart landing, receiving the ground. And then we're going to do a very simple movement I call walking in place. So this concept that we aren't really going to go anywhere. We'll stay stable and grounded, our torso, our heart. But imagining ourselves walking forward, propelling ourselves forward to whatever is next, having the strength to do that. So starting with your left foot, feel the big toe side of the left foot and the heel of the left foot, and tip slightly onto the big toe side and push the left foot into the ground. So what you'll feel is, you can even imagine pushing the left shin forward. Your left hip will lengthen and arch a little bit, the left waist, and breathe out and just let the hip come back down. And then feel your right foot, the big toe side, the heel, the ball of the foot. Inhale, push the ball of the foot. You can come slightly into the big toe side of the foot. And exhale, come down. So like you're just walking, notice the movement. You can even place your hands on your two hip bones and feel the way your pelvis is imitating the movement of walking forward. You might find it feels better with your feet a little bit closer together, further apart, closer to your buttocks, further from your buttocks. Inhale, take a step forward. Exhale, land that hip, land in your whole back body. Feel the support of the earth. Feel the movement of your pelvis and the sense of walking your walk. Continuing on your journey. As you breathe in, and letting the bones and muscles just find the ground as you breathe out. I like to add the head to this, whichever hip is lifting, just turning the head, looking over the left shoulder, and releasing, and the right shoulder, and releasing. Just taking a few more simple moves. And the last thing we're going to add in, and this is optional, and this is a whole, so our body supports us in a cross body pattern. So from left hip to right shoulder, right hip to left shoulder, but also this idea of letting our hips go in one direction, our lower chakras, and our shoulders and our heart go in the other direction, so that we have this independent suspension of the lower body, the animal, the survival instinct, connecting with, but also protected from, the upper body, which is our spiritual, our intellectual, and letting them do their own thing. So now, as you're pressing the right foot forward, think of your left shoulder blade, press your left shoulder blade into the ground. And breathe out, release. And then feel your left foot, push your left foot, your shin forward, push your right shoulder blade into the ground. And release. So think of this cross in your body from left hip to right shoulder, right hip to left shoulder. You can think of the juicy center of that X, and you're pushing opposite sides. Left foot, right shoulder, release. Right foot, left shoulder. So in the biomechanical world, we'd call this a contralateral or cross-body movement. But it's also about thinking of your diaphragm as this protector, both protects and allows. It divides your abdominal cavity and your thoracic cavity, so your abdomen, your chest and lungs, and letting those two sides work independently. Letting your head roll. Just take a few more if you'd like. Maybe stop and hold at the top when the left foot's pressing down and the right shoulder. Right foot, left shoulder. Breathe out and come down. And part of it too, when we do these movements that take a little bit more awareness, is just that. You have to become aware of your body, and even just for that brief moment, maybe we're able to let everything else go. So now I'm going to ask you to just relax for a moment. So if that includes extending your legs, please do that. Shake out your legs. Invite you to take your left hand again to if you like, the abdomen, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, or your heart. And think of taking that right hand just for a moment up towards the sky again into Abhaya mudra. the mudra of fearlessness. And now your arm can rest on the ground, your right arm. Finding yourself in the natural spontaneous breath. Hold this mudra as long as you'd like. It's like you can hold the world away, even just for a moment, away from your heart, away from your self-identity. Hold it all away. It's like if the roof is collapsing, push it back up, or just allowing that right hand to come on top of the left at any time. And recognizing once again the simplicity physically, but the deep spiritual and philosophical understanding of the cycles of the breath and the way they represent life and death. The little things we bring in, the life parts that bring joy, and the little deaths, the difficulties, the hurts, the pain, the fear. And you may find your breath naturally responds to going a little bit longer on the inhale, meaning you're vitalizing, you're refilling, you're taking in. And take in what you want or what you need. Think of a word, a phrase, some sort of affirmation that makes you feel strong, that gives your heart pleasure. If you find that your breath out, your expiration is getting long, trust the biointelligence of your body and know that it's a time to let go, to release what's coming to your mind, sensations in your body that you can let go on your exhalation. Then that letting go, feeling the muscles letting go onto the bones, letting the weight of the bones connect to the ground. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. And know that not moving, but being present in this space and feeling any parts of your body touching the ground, that is yoga. You don't have to do postures. It's the internal yoga, the deeper yoga. The yoga of being in the space of whatever it is that you feel, any sensations, any emotions, any thoughts, noticing. And knowing that the earth will take it all. If you do want to join me coming up, take your time. You can roll to one side first if you'd like. Thank you for joining me and my friends and family who could listen right now to this and know that there are many people supporting them and sending them good vibrations and loving energy. And I send that to you as well. Peace, joy, love, and light.